Hello. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dave Walker and I'm a professional coach and storyteller. And today I wanted to tell you a story about how you can make yourself better off by doing the opposite. Now, I've gone through a lot of change myself over the past years, across the board, or as I like to call it, at work, rest, and play. So on the career and non-career front, and I find they're all kind of interrelated. One of the reasons I'm actually doing coaching and storytelling now is so I can share that with others. So I've gone through experience to change myself. I have taken coaching courses. I've connected with other coaches. I coach folks as well as far as making changes. I've got piles and piles of books on making yourself better off around my house. I've got articles. I've got quotes. You can probably see a bunch of them on behind me here. So all of this, and I've even come up with a what I call my modus operandi. Change often is hard. They say the only constant is change. So my modus operandi or strategy is, look at ways of making it easier on yourself. So that's my strategy, making change easier on yourself, and have fun while you're at it. So I share some of these ideas through my blogs. So for those who haven't seen my blogs, they're on my website at www.davewcoachingandstorytelling.com. So I often share my top 5 lists around the different changes and how you can make change easier on yourself. I'm also writing a book, so my first draft, chapter by chapter, is also shared on my website in the book section. So feel free to take a peek and look at that if you're looking for any ideas around making, making changes to your life, leading a better life. So here with all this information, everything I've gathered and sharing and coaching and storytelling, you can imagine my disbelief when I came across one book in particular, this book, more precisely, How to Be Miserable. So How to Be Miserable, this is by Randy J. Paterson, PhD. And I've got the one strategy, make it easier on yourself. Well, he's got 40 strategies, and he's got 40 strategies that he claims you already use. So, for example, and you know what? When I took a look at this book with all that research, I'll tell you what, Randy J. Paterson did a pretty darn good job of summarizing a lot of the things that I had seen in leading a better life, except it's almost as if he's telling us the opposite of that, and that you would lead a miserable life. So if I look at a few, I'm just going to look here at a few. He calls them the 40 strategies or 40 lessons. I'm just going to look at 3 here that I kind of connect with. So you can go through the same exercise if you want. The 3 lessons or chapters that most resonate with you. Mine, I didn't have to go further than lesson number 1, avoid all exercise. So not only did I avoid all exercise previously in my life, I also avoided eating anything healthy, and I didn't avoid, unfortunately, alcohol, and I ended up avoiding sleep because of all those. So the result is, those of you who know me and have read my book, was clinical depression, functional alcoholism, obesity, and isolating myself and becoming clinically depressed. So that was kind of where I was at, which sounds actually pretty miserable. So since then, I've been doing the opposite, and things have vastly improved. The other lesson I have here it says, Lesson 18, cultivate your presence elsewhere. So I was an expert at doing that as well. I wasn't happy where I was, so I had dreamed up my whole concept of Freedom 55, which is a Canadian life insurer. That is one of their marketing gigs, save up your money, retire at 55. I was going to kind of just give up on everything, save up all my money, and things were going to be great when I hit 55. So that was I avoid the present, just ignore it, and save up my money, and when I'm 55, everything's going to be great. And then lesson 36, stay in your comfort zone. So if you read my book or look at my blogs, I refer to myself before as Captain Comfort Zone. And when it talks about being miserable, I was pretty miserable. I was so miserable, that's actually what gave me the courage to start transforming, becoming what I now call myself, Captain Courageous. But I have to keep working on that to stay in that state. So when I look at these lessons, I'm kind of thinking, well, you know what? They seem to make sense? He's covered off the material. The thing is, you should why not do the opposite? So for those of you who are fans of Seinfeld, one of the Seinfeld episodes is, if you know George Costanza, when he had trouble getting dates and he was always trying to pretend he was someone he wasn't, he was not being authentic, he decided one day just to try the opposite. He was actually going to go up there. He saw somebody he liked sitting in the restaurant, to go up there and ask her on a date. And he decided, instead of going up there and telling all these things that he wasn't, that he was going to be authentic and he was going to do the opposite. And he went up and he says, "My name is," for those of you who see that, I'm not going to tell you anymore because I'm going to ruin the episode for you, so you can go see that. But they ended up doing the opposite. They ended up calling it pulling a Costanza. So if you want to Google that, you can actually see that episode. If you can't find it, let me know. So basically, I'm thinking, like, why not pull a Costanza? So the funny thing is, if you look at in the book, you'll see at the end, Randy J. Paterson is saying the same thing. You can follow these if you want to be miserable, or just do the opposite. So here you've got the author summarizing a lot of really great strategies of how you can lead a better life. Just do the opposite of what he's doing. So if you want to take a peek at some of those, by all means do so. If you'd like to take a peek and get a little bit more information, I actually wrote a blog about that. It's called How to Lead a Miserable Life or Not. So that's on my website, so you can see that. It was in December 2016 that I had published that. So I'll give you some more background on that if you want to give that a try. And in my book, I also talk about what I call pulling a Costanza. So if you go onto my website again, if you look in the book section, I've got all my books, basically, the chapters there. So chapter 16 is, I call it Finding My Calling, Just Do It, Pull a Costanza. So you can take a look at that. I'll share some ideas of how I was able to do the opposite and help me find a career that was more of aligned with who I was and where I wanted to go. I wasn't in a great place at the time. And in chapter 28, I also talk about the Costanza approach as well, or doing the opposite. So anyhow, bit of a long story. I know we're supposed to keep these at 3 minutes. I think I'm at the 7-minute mark, but anyhow, that's my storytelling style, a little on the long-winded side, but I hope that you take away something in this to help you lead a better life. And if ever you want to cover that off and have a chat with me on a one-on-one coaching, again on my website under the one-on-one coaching, feel free to set up a half hour and we can do a quick discussion to see what you'd like to make a change. And if there's a fit and you want to move forward, I would love to accompany you on your journey. Thanks and have a great day.